What's up folks, now this is a video I've been wanting to make for some time about Apex Legends, and this is a video where I want to talk about how you kind of get good at the game. And there are a lot of videos out there that show you how to get good at a particular thing, how to get good at your movement, how to get good at your accuracy or one very tiny attribute of the game. But in this video I want to focus on more broadly what differentiates a good player from the rest of the community. And the thing that I put it down to for the most part is their ability and efficiency to learn. So what I mean by that is that players that are very talented at the game, usually they don't have any one individual thing that they're better at. They don't usually have just amazing accuracy. They usually have everything. They usually have better game sense, better awareness, better movement, better accuracy, better positioning, everything. And it's no coincidence that all of those attributes tend to come together with these very good players, and in my view it's because the way they look at the game, their mindset to improvement and development of their personal abilities is different or faster than the rest of the community. So I just want to talk about that. I just want to talk a little bit about how you can develop as a player in Apex Legends and how you can kind of develop a lot faster. So if we break down everything that it takes to be good at Apex Legends, I'm going to put some stuff on screen right now, and it's a crazy amount of kind of individual attributes that contribute to being skillful at this game. And as I say, I think something that a lot of players get wrong is they over-focus on one of these attributes, because the key thing is that they all feed into one another. Like, your awareness is only as valuable as, say, your accuracy, for instance, or your positioning. That's probably a better example. Your positioning is only as good as your accuracy, because if you're in a really good position but you can't hit anyone, it starts to become a bit useless. And you see that all the time. You see that with like snipers taking insane positions at the top of like the village in the middle of the desert, but they can't actually hit anyone, so it doesn't really matter. And you see this the inverse as well. You see a lot of players that have kind of really good accuracy, but their positioning and game sense kind of lets them down because they're making pushes that they really shouldn't be making. Like, I've got a friend just like that, where I think he's pretty competent in a gunfight, but quite often he'll just run off on his own and get 1v3'd and killed. And in the end, like on average, he performs worse than I do, and that's mainly because he just runs off at the wrong times and picks the wrong fights. So yeah, so what I'm getting at here is that there are all of these individual components that contribute to being good at Apex Legends, and it's only if you're able to kind of pull yourself back, be kind of reflective, and consider the whole picture that you can really develop consistently as a player. And what this comes down to is having an effective iterative feedback loop, being able to play a game, identify what went wrong if you died, or even if you didn't die, identify ways in which you could have played better or more efficiently in certain fights. Because even if you don't explicitly fail in an individual match, like you don't lose as a team, you still have lots of smaller failures in that game. You still have lots of moments where your accuracy wasn't quite good enough, or maybe you went down but your teammates didn't. You still have moments where you could have improved if you identified what the issue was. And this is something a lot of players really struggle with for a number of reasons. The first of which I would say is that some players just don't have this mindset, and some players maybe just don't want to improve or don't play to improve, and that's fine. But the people I play with are, they're more competitive players, so a lot of them are getting frustrated when they die. And if you're getting frustrated when you die, more fun at the game. So it's not just about being competitive, it's about being content with your own performance and being happy playing. And these players often just struggle to break down the problem or all of the individual attributes that contributed to their failure. And when they look back at the gameplay, or when they think about what happened at all, they'll say, I wasn't accurate enough. But if you look at what happened, there's usually a ton of individually contributing factors that led to the moment where they died or didn't perform as well as they wanted to. And they're usually overlooking a ton of mistakes with positioning, movement, and awareness that meant they wouldn't have been in that position to begin with. And these players often, instead of focusing on all of those things that they could do to improve, they sit in training, aiming with their R99, trying to improve their accuracy as if that would let them win more consistently. And obviously, you'll see small improvements. You'll see some improvements with your accuracy, and that will lead to improvements in your gameplay. But it's not the whole picture. It's a tiny portion of the picture, and I think that's what players miss. So it's about having this iterative feedback loop, but also being able to be aware of the tools in which you can use to reflect and identify your failures and convert those into actionable insights with which you can adapt as a player. And I think that's the biggest difference. You know, if you're watching a top player and they die, you can see very quickly that they will recognize what went wrong there and be able to immediately adapt in the next game. They'll do something different, they'll play in a different way. And even on a smaller level, in an individual fight, you'll even see them making those adaptations. But if you're not familiar with very quickly making those adaptations and making the right adaptations, then I think the right thing to do is to take a little bit of time after a match. Take a little bit of time to stop and think and just kind of take in what happened and what you could have done better, because that's what a lot of players don't do. Like, all of these games today are focused on rapidly getting into another game and kind of forgetting your losses and forgetting the experiences that led to kind of your failure or your death. And that's great for like enjoyment, but it can sometimes be counterintuitive to improving at the game. Like, if you see slower paced games like Rainbow Six Siege, where they send you to like a spectator mode for quite a bit of time after you've been downed, because you have to wait until the round is ended and then repeat, then in those games you just get a lot more time to reflect on what happened and think about your strategy and think about how you could have repositioned in the next round. Whereas Apex really isn't about that kind of automatic feedback loop, because in Rainbow Six Siege, as an example again, you have another round, right? So you know, you can think about why you failed in that round, and you can think about what you can apply in the next round to repeat. But in Apex, the next round is going to be different. Like, the next game is going to be different. It's easy to tell yourself, you know, I died there, but whatever, the next game will be different. Like, we'll be fighting different people, I have different guns, and it doesn't matter what happened there. And it just depends on your mindset and depends on what you want to get out of the game. If you don't really care about improving and you're not reliant on doing well at the game to have a good time, then that's fine. Like, more power to you. But I think if you do want to improve and do want to think about ways in which you can get better at the game, like me, then it's good to be thinking about ways in which you're adapting and evolving as a player over time. So yeah, I mean, that's mostly what I had to say on this topic. Just take some time to review your videos, figure out what's going wrong. Like, take some time to think about what's going wrong in the matches and identify not just one attribute necessarily, but identify the kind of root cause of your problem. Take some time to think about the scope of the issues in your game plan and which one really led to your death, rather than just your accuracy or maybe just your positioning. And translate that into something actionable that you can do in a future game. And that might be, you know, maybe I should be using the R99 more often so I can get better with the recoil control, or it might be, hey, you know, I'm losing fights at this spot all the time. Let's just land near there pretty consistently and try and take as many fights there as possible until I get better. I keep trying different positions, keep trying different spots, and trying to figure out what you're doing wrong. And that's definitely a really good way to improve. Like I say, it's important to also try and avoid the traps. Don't think, you know, it's just my accuracy, I just need to go into training for hours and hours a day, because that's not how you get better at the game. And things like accuracy also have a fairly implicit feedback loop built into them, because you have this immediate positive reinforcement when you land the shot, right? So you have this mechanism of essentially operant conditioning, where you have this positive or negative reinforcement associated directly with your behavior in that moment. And that's why it's easy to learn to get better at aiming by playing the game. That's why people say, you know, if you want to grind, well, if you want to get better at the game, just grind the game. And you see people on PC doing it with aim trainers as well, but on console, genuinely, I believe you're best off just playing as many games as possible if you want to improve something like your aim. But it's the more abstract things, the things like positioning and awareness and things like that, that need you to sit back and take a little bit of time to figure out what happened. It's kind of like a puzzle, you know, it's kind of like you need to unpick all of the events that happened in that match to figure out what it really was that led to your death, and develop a kind of mental action plan on how you can improve in the future. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on this topic. Hopefully kind of thinking a little bit more about this will help you improve as a player. I really do think that the approach to learning that the pro players have is a major game changer between what makes a pro player stand out from good players, and also what makes good players stand out from average players. But it's no coincidence that these players can, you know, pick up a game very quickly and rapidly learn all the skills required to be good at that game. And I think that relates to their kind of iterative feedback loop and ability to identify the weaknesses in their game plan very quickly. And I think that practicing this, taking some time to think about what you're doing wrong, is a good way to get started on improving the speed at which you're able to do that. You know, improving the speed in which you're able to evolve and adapt throughout your time playing a game. Hopefully this has been helpful. In the future I'll be doing some videos about the kind of individual bits in that diagram I showed at the start with the different attributes of skill in Apex Legends. And just stay tuned on the channel. This has been Gungjo. Catch you in the next video.
Down. 2 people going up. Oh, no. The rage went that way.
Down that one.
Somebody rezzing. I'm sorry, healing someone over there.
Charging on my shields.
Inside over here. There's one over there. There's one under.
Reloading. Down that one.
One more.
Sucks.
In progress.
Inside the ring. Sweet.
Care package.
Yeah, sorry, boy.
How dare you?
Just, there was a team on you. I think it might not even been a team actually. It might have just been one guy. Who knows? It's a shit game.
8 kills.
Yeah, but that's because 2 of them res. So that Octane, I'm pretty sure he res, but he had purple shield.
Charging on my shields.
Eliminated from existence?
Must walk faster. Thermite. Fire in the hole. One minute. Charging on my shields.
Sir, this is
I
a
need help.
Wendy's.
I've only got 20 light ammo. No, health here.
Ring closes in 10. Correct.
Progress.
Jump pad out.
This dude looks like Daltoon. Daltoosh. Daldouche. Oh my god, what an
Say adios to the
imbecile.
entire- Just
Actual
This is gonna be fun.
imbecile.
That one's out for the count.
Behind the truck? I think it's
Maybe I'm not done with it like that. I did. We started.
Champion
She
eliminated.
didn't fire one
Great
shot.
fucking job, bro.
She didn't fire one shot, dude. It's Sessa.
I had to hit it because otherwise I'd have to land the
You
Kraber
are the
shot at close
Apex
range. It
champions.
was
Good shit, man. Clip that.